Hello everyone and welcome to this video. Now today I wanted to talk about a Paul McCartney record. I've not reviewed one of his albums in quite a while. So today I'm going to be talking about this record here. It is a Red Rose Speedway. So this was the second Wings album, released on the 4th of May in 1973. In total it was McCartney's fourth album since the Beatles split up. So the record before this was Wildlife, which was largely a disappointment due to its minimal production, and also the minimal song content as well. Wings spent the following year in 1972 touring and releasing singles. They didn't issue an album in 1972. The singles were Give Ireland Back to the Irish, Mary Had a Little Lamb, and Hi Hi Hi, all of which I think were banned by the BBC. Certainly Give Ireland Back to the Irish was for its political content and to be honest with you, these were hardly Wings' finest work. So recording the album started in the middle of 1972. Originally it was conceived as a double album, but it soon became clear that there wasn't enough quality material to fill up a double record. Initially, acclaimed producer Glyn Johns was called in to produce the record. He had worked with the likes of The Who, he produced Who's Next, and I think also the Stones as well. He worked on them on Exile on Main Street and Sticky Fingers, so a very much a big name in the music business. However, he left these sessions after disagreements with McCartney regarding material and also Wings' rather slow approach to recording. Generally they would do a lot of jamming in the studio and smoking as well. And considering that John's had worked with the Rolling Stones, hardly the easiest people in the music business to work with. Him walking out on Wings was quite significant. However, the resulting album was quite a success. It reached number 1 on the US charts and got to number 5 here in the UK. However, critical response was slightly indifferent, many feeling that the songwriting was lazy and McCartney lacked a collaborator or someone who could guide him and tell him what was good and not. McCartney himself would reportedly later deride this album, saying that he couldn't stand it in a 1977 magazine interview. So I'll just show you my vinyl copy of it here. This is a original UK pressing. So there's the cover. I don't mind the cover. It's not McCartney's best album cover, but it's not too bad though. There's the back of it there, which is a slightly suspicious picture there. You can't fully guess what that's supposed to be on the back. Also, there's a nice braille as well here, which is which I think says "We love you, Stevie." That's a message to Stevie Wonder. And then there's a wee thing at the bottom about the Wings fan club and that. So yeah, quite a nice packaging here. It's also a gatefold as well, with a booklet. So this was the era when albums they were quite extravagantly packaged. So you get picture booklet here with photos of Wings on stage. You were quite a big touring band around this time. As I said, 1972, no album, but lots and lots and lots of live shows they performed. Pictures of all the band members, the instruments which they play, and then there's just more artwork in here and that sort of thing, and lyrics on the back. The record is just in a plain sleeve though, and the label itself looks like this here, just a Red Rose Speedway custom label design. So overall, vinyl packaging is actually really, really good, I think. But anyway, now it's on to the songs. For each track, I'll score it out of 10, and then those scores will be used to give us a overall percentage marking for the album. Okay, so unfortunately the album doesn't start off too great. We get the song Big Barn Bed, which is quite a weak song to start. It begins okay, quite a slow, bluesy stomp. And the first verse isn't too bad either. But it's when the chorus hits that it gets really annoying and very tiresome quickly, the sleeping in the big barn bed bit. It just really doesn't do much for me at all. The song must date back to 1971, as a snippet can be heard all heard towards the end of the Ram album. And usually that this is like a song like where people tend to like criticize this record. This is one track like where they say like actually Big Bomb Bed like is alright. For me though, it is possibly my least favourite like on like the record, and like I really do like have to wonder like why on earth it was chosen for like the recent Pure McCartney compilation. Like this was like one of the tracks on it like supposed to represent McCartney's best work, and like they choose this song. Really, really poor choice there. Like and like a poor song to open up the record, I feel. Thankfully, things do improve quite a bit with the next song, which is My Love, which is one of McCartney's best and most well-known ballads. I mean, you've got a fantastic guitar solo like from Henry McCulloch. Very sort of like, it was apparently a very spontaneous guitar solo, like which you just thought up like all at the spot. It really makes a song. I mean, it isn't a track where I like immediately go to, and like I probably wouldn't rank like say like in like my top 10 McCartney songs, like, but it is a song which like when it comes on like I do really like have like a nice time hearing. It was a big hit as well. Stayed at number 1 in the US for 4 weeks. But could only reach number 9 on the UK charts. But My Love, a really great song there, like one of like McCartney's like absolute classic tracks. Then that's followed up with a really underrated song called Get On The Right Thing, which I really like this song. Apparently this was also a leftover from the Ram sessions, because I think you've got the guitarist, is it Dave Spinoza playing on it, who was the guitarist on the Ram album. Yeah, like he plays like electric guitar like on here, so like it does date back a little bit, this song. I just think it's a really well constructed like 70s pop song. Like there's some nice sort of faster segments, like the verses like are like quite upbeat, but like, then like it gets a bit sort of slower like for like the pre-chorus, but then like the actual chorus itself like is like really fun, like really like upbeat. Like I think like it's a very good song which does get overlooked. It also this song established like the Wings harmonies, like which would be like a very like underrated component like of McCartney's music in the 70s. I would say with this song maybe Linda's voice like is a little bit too prominent, but overall I think it is a really fantastic song which doesn't get the attention what it deserves. Only one more kiss. Next song is a little bit fillery. It's called Only One More Kiss, which I'm not a massive fan of this track here. It's quite breezy, like it is like a love song, like quite sort of generic lyrics on it. A little bit like underwhelming. Like I mean, it isn't harmful to the record. It's pleasant to listen to. Doesn't go on for too long. It's just a alright, nice little track, but like it doesn't really stand out like on like the record too much. But then we get possibly my favourite song like on the whole album. It's called Little Lamb Dragonfly, which I think is an incredibly like underrated song. Like again, like this is a song which should have been on like Pure McCartney, like I feel. For the first part of this song, McCartney seems to be addressing like a lamb, which may have been like inspired by the event which made him and Linda vegetarians. Like they were apparently like on like their farm, like eating like a lamb joint, like when like they noticed like the lambs playing like in like the field, and like it dawned on them that like what they were eating were these like animals. So like it's kind of like a apology like to like lambs for like spending so like his life like up to this point like eating meat sort of thing. But like it comes off quite well though. But like the actual main bulk like of like the song like is kind of like the Dragonfly sort of segment like of it, which is a really beautiful like melodically song. Lyrically it may seem like a little bit silly like on like the surface, but like if like you sort of think of it like metaphorically, like as like the dragonfly, like sort of like metaphor for like a woman, like or like a love interest, it does make the lyrics a bit more sort of potent, like and a bit more like heartfelt. Like also McCartney's vocal really works well. There's some nice lines in it, such as like the years ahead will show how little we really know. Like I like that little line like in like the track. And yeah, just a lovely song there. Little Loud Dragonfly closes off side 1. Would get a 10 out of 10 from me. Single pigeon through the railings. So then side 2 of the record opens up with a little song called Single Pigeon, which is quite an understated piano ballad, which it maybe seems a little bit like unfinished, this song here. I mean, it is a great melody, like, and like kind of like the lyrical idea like of the song like is quite good. So there's a nice trumpet solo like in it as well. It just seems a little bit like underdeveloped, sort of demo-y kind of song like this one here, like one which he hasn't really thought about too much. But like yeah, like not a bad track there, the Single Pigeon, a 7 out of 10. Okay, so now the next one is another kind of sort of slower one. It's called When the Night. This one's a bit more sort of soulful, like McCartney's vocal like especially works quite well like on it. I must say, like, I don't like the backing vocals, like Linda and like Denny Lane. They are quite cheesy, like they sort of like repeat like the lines like which McCartney's singing, which I don't think works. Like, I think like it gets a little bit annoying like as like the song goes on. However, like the kind of like bridge bit, like it does save the song. Like also has a nice guitar solo, plus McCartney's vocals towards the end. Like he really belts out the song, which I think works quite well. So When the Night would get a 7 out of 10, a pretty good album track there. And then we get one of the more sort of controversial songs like on the record. It's called Loop First Indian on the Moon, which this is a very different song. Like for anything McCartney's really done like up to this point like in time, it's quite different, quite progressive rock sort of sounds like on it. Like it's also like an instrumental track as well. Like I mean it begins quite slow, like and plodding, like you get like these kind of sort of backing vocals in it. Like it's quite an eerie track. I would say the bass playing on this song like really shines through, but it isn't a song that I would ever play or like go to like in isolation like off like the record. I mean, I do like how he is trying something different, but on this song it does drag a little bit. Like like yeah, like as I said, like not a song which I would like ever like personally like go to. Hold me tight, hold me right. Okay, so now the last 4 songs like on the record all form a medley, like what lasts like almost 12 minutes here. Like we'll talk about like each song like individually because they are like all kind of they are all kind of like separate songs. The first one is called Hold Me Tight, which this is probably the weakest like off like the 4. Like I would say I'm giving this song a 5 out of 10. I mean, it starts off kind of generic, sort of like piano, like McCartney's voice. It's very repetitive as well. It is mostly just like him repeating the line like "Hold me tight." I mean, it does pick up like as like the song goes on like, and we do get like a nice guitar solo towards the end. But this is a song which I couldn't help feel like would have maybe best stayed like unreleased. So why do you Next one is maybe my favourite out of all the songs again, like the medley. It's Lazy Dynamite, which this one does have again repetitive lyrics like for like the chorus line, like but like the bridge part to the song, like the won't you come out tonight when the time is right, or why do you fight that feeling in your heart. That bit I love. I think the melody of that is quite stunning actually, like the way like they sort of sing it like with like the harmonies, it just works like so well. But again like with the chorus, like I wish that he'd maybe worked on it like a bit more, but certainly this song could have works like as a standalone track like with a little bit more work. And then that's followed up by Hands of Love, which is a really nice like acoustic track. He is very relaxed, lyrics basically just about like falling in love really. I mean, like I do quite like it. Again, I think this song could have worked like as like a standalone track. There's a little bit like in like the middle of it though, which I'm not too keen on. Like they kind of do like this sort of like humming, like sort of like trumpet impressions, like with like their voices, which I think could have been changed. Like I think like that bit, like it sounds a bit like lazy, like a bit lightweight. But like I mean, it isn't a bad song there though. Like again, like melodically very catchy, and like lyrically like isn't too bad either. So Hands of Love would get an 8 out of 10. Maybe a power cut. And then the medley closes with a song Power Cut, which I also really, really like. It's got a sort of great like piano line, which kind of provides like the main beat like off like the song. Like the medley like off and like the melody, like off like the verse, like I think like is quite good. Lyrically, this song I believe was inspired by the 1972 miners' strike, like where power cuts like were like a regular occurrence. The "Maybe I Love You So" sort of chorus line maybe gets a little bit grating like as like it goes on, but this does round off the album quite nicely because we get like kind of like musical themes like from the other like medley songs like coming in, calming in like other sort of like tunes that from like the last 3 songs, which I think works quite well and like certainly rounds off the album. That slowly fades out like I think like it does end the album quite well. So Power Cut we'll get an 8 out of 10. Really good track there, I think. Okay, so overall, this album would score 73%. So I would say this is a really good record here, but it is far from McCartney's best work. Like I'd say the following record, Band on the Run, was so much better than this. I had to be honest with you. Venus and Mars is kind of like the same level, like sort of thing. But like it probably does sit like around about in the middle, like off like the Wings discography. I would say though, like going back to the fact that this was originally a double record, that some of like the songs which were cut off this are actually stronger than some like off like the tracks like which were selected from it. Like the songs such as Best Friend, The Mess, and like Denny Lane's track I Lie Around. So certainly like with all like these kind of outtakes like and like rare cuts, like this would certainly make like an interesting like archive reissue, like whether like McCartney's continuing with them or not like remains to be seen. Also comparing this to some of the other solo Beatles records from 1973, I would say this is possibly the best. Like I'm not 100% sure like on that. I have reviewed Mind Games by John Lennon, like which funnily enough like also scored like 73%. So these are kind of like level pegging, and like I probably do prefer this like to Harrison's Living in the Material World, which I'm not a massive fan like off that album. So yeah, like a really good record here like from Paul McCartney, quite underrated album, full of some great songs which I think people have like overlooked, like such as Get on the Right Thing, Little Lad Dragonfly, and like parts of like the medley as well. So yeah, thank you for watching this review. If you have got any requests for future ones, please do leave them down below, and I will see you all next time for the next video. Goodbye.